Hello and welcome back to Elevate Your Wealth. I'm your host, Casey Elkins, co-founder and managing partner at Elevated Financial Management. I'm joined as always by my friend, father-in-law, and business partner, Mark Stimpson. Today we're talking about things that a lot of advisors miss when they're putting together a financial plan, a retirement plan, specifically about creating income that gives people confidence as they move into their golden years. Mark, it's great to see you. Before we jump into it, I really want to share with our audience what we've got going on around the office. We've expanded our office in Renton, as we've talked about before. We're actually looking at expanding our reach in the Seattle area to some other locations as well, north and south. And it's really been a privilege and honor to work with the clients that we do get to work with and really play the small part in their retirement lives. And we want to say thank you to those clients. Thank you to our audience today and each and every week that tunes back in to find out more about what they can do to better themselves in retirement. And I think I speak for the both of us when I share those sentiments.
Yeah, I just want our viewers to know, I echo everything Casey just said. You are the reason that we do what we do, right? This is a passion of both of ours. And what's awesome about this profession is we are a part of helping clients realize their dreams and helping them make it happen, right? And like we were talking about, we're looking forward very soon to having an intern coming, got a degree down in Arizona at Arizona State University, but we met him at a restaurant in Seattle, and we're excited to add him to our staff. He brings a lot of energy. His youth is really awesome, and people just tend to love Charlie when you meet him. And so we're looking forward to that, but we got a lot of other things going on in the office as well that are all so very positive.
Yeah, it's really great. It's special for us to see, to think about where things were just a few years ago and where things are at today. And to any of our staff that's watching, thank you for everything that you do for the business as well. So that being said, let's jump into it. When we think about retirement, all of the success in retirement is founded on income. If you don't have the income that you need, a Roth conversion doesn't mean anything. Being tax efficient doesn't mean anything. The investment mix that you have doesn't mean anything if you don't have the income that you need to sustain your lifestyle in retirement. And that's what we're talking about today, specifically an article that brings three big names into this conversation about income. We won't get into each of those names, but these are doctorates, they're PhDs of finance. When guys like this talk, the financial world sit up and listen, and rightfully so. And you know what? They say they've got some very powerful comments that we're going to talk about today. But really, I love the idea that everything you and I talk about agrees with exactly what they've got in this article about creating income to give people confidence in their retirement.
Yeah, I just love, and they start with this in their article, says their shared message. This is all three of these guys that Casey just mentioned. They say, keep it simple, keep it holistic, and keep it tailored to the individual. We couldn't agree with that more because your situation is very unique to you. But what they were really pointing out too is how many advisors are getting this completely wrong. And we're going to talk about why that is as we talk about this article. But I love it. It talks about there was a benchmark and a savings starting point, but it's not a real life income plan, right? The 4% rule has been around for a long time. And one of the individuals is the one that came up with this 4% drawdown rule. Wall Street's been talking about and using it for decades, right?
What is that 4% rule, Mark? For those that are maybe uninitiated with that thought, what is the 4% rule?
What is the 4% rule? Specifically, this individual felt that if you started, when you retired, if you kept your withdrawals from your plans to 4% or less, your money would last. So to give you an example, if you had $1 million, he felt that if you kept it to $40,000 or less per year out of that $1 million, your money would last over a normal retirement cycle. But part of the problem where that is now, he was probably looking at 25 year when he started that theory, 25 years or so. Now we're looking at 30 and 40 years because of longevity risk. We're going to talk more about that. So that puts a lot more pressure on your portfolio because your money has to last a lot longer. Dr. Wade Pfau, he believes that 4% rate is too high right now. He would want to knock that down. But I love the one point they make at the beginning, along with what I just said. It says, they argue that advisors significantly underuse simple lifetime income annuities to cover essential expenses alongside Social Security. Uh-oh, there's that A word again.
Yep, same
right?
bad words
Annuities.
on the air.
But these are three of the guys that study income and retirement planning as much as anybody in the world. And this is I want our viewers to understand, this is them saying that, not us, right? Now, we happen to believe what they're telling us, but we're not the ones that came up with this. And we just know that guaranteed income to cover the basic essentials of retirement, pay our bills, is critical to being successful in retirement.
You know, you said something earlier, Mark. You mentioned three things. To one, keep it simple.
Yep.
Two, keep it holistic. And three, have it to be tailored to the individual. Let's touch on that first piece, simple, right? So how many times, maybe not how many times, but how often does somebody come into our office and they've got a retirement plan put together by another firm, a big box store typically, and that thing is about that big, right? There's like 20 or 30 pages in there, and I get a headache reading through that, right? It's not easy to understand, and so from our perspective, that's a big miss, right? Because the last thing that people want to do, we sit down, we ask everybody that we meet with, what do you want to do in your retirement? What do you want to accomplish? Not a single person has told us that they'd like to become a financial planner in their retirement. And yet they walk away from their financial planner with a 30-page document that is complicated to read and difficult to understand. And that really is just a big disservice that people face all the time when they're moving into retirement. And no wonder people don't feel confident to spend in their retirement. They don't have clarity about what they can spend and how long that money's going to last. And it seems to be this mysticism and smoke and mirrors to try and keep people out of the financial world. And that's specifically why we do this show each and every week, because we want people to understand it. We want it to be simple, and we want it to be holistic and custom tailored to what that person is trying to accomplish. And so if you're watching the show and you would like to have something custom tailored to you, custom built for your specific situation, pick up the phone and give us a call, 844-342-7142. We will keep it simple. We will keep it individualized, and we will make sure that we help you understand not only where you're at, but how to get to where you'd like to be. Talking about the investments that you have, the income that you need to produce, how to be tax efficient, all those questions and concerns, 844-342-7142. We're going to talk more about creating income in your retirement right here on Elevate Your Wealth when we come back.
At first, I thought I was going to become an iron worker, and after I graduated from high school, I drove from Virginia out to Wyoming, where my dad was at. My parents had just got divorced, and I watched my grandfather on my dad's side. My grandfather got Alzheimer's and spent the last several years of his life in a nursing facility, and I watched them be devastated at the cost at the time because they didn't have any insurance and that created a real problem for them. They lost the bulk of their assets, liquid assets. They were able to retain the farm back in Iowa, but it taught me a lesson that I don't want to ever go through that. I don't want my children to have to go through this. And so I met an individual at an event that I was doing, a party basically at his house, and he invited me to come to his house the next day. And I decided to check it out. And he said, Mark, you would be very good at this. And it was basically in the long-term care business, Medicare and Medicaid planning to a certain degree. So I help people get Medicare figured out, but then it also spurred me into the long-term care field as well. So again, that's really how I got into this business to begin with.
Welcome back to Elevate Your Wealth. I'm your host, Casey Elkins. We're talking about creating income in retirement, specifically how you can create income in your retirement to have confidence, to have clarity about what that future looks like, and to maintain your independence through the golden years, which is something that many people are missing in their retirement plan. Today, with the thought of income, we all recognize that the numbers are the numbers. When we create that income, when we have our expenses and then our income, which is hopefully more than our expenses, we understand that that's the purpose behind it, is to match our spending goal. But there's so much more to the income. It isn't just about the numbers and how they balance out on a spreadsheet or in a financial planning software. It's really also about the emotional impact that those finances have on somebody's life. Isn't that right, Mark?
Yeah, we know this is critical because, you know, we talk to clients each and every day about this, and we don't start with the money. How much money do they have? We're asking questions such as, where would you like to live? Or more importantly, what would you like to do in retirement? We give them a blank canvas, and we want them to paint a picture for us of what they really want to do in retirement, because that's where the rubber meets the road. Now, we all understand that it's going to take money and finances to do certain things, right? But if all you talk about is the money, we talk about, that's just a disservice. Anybody can do that, right? We want to help our clients enjoy the mental satisfaction that can come with having a plan where they're not worried about the money. They don't stress about that. They know it's going to come in. More importantly, we want them to focus on their grandchildren or being with their friends, doing what they want to do, whether it's gardening or traveling. We have clients, the specter goes like this, right? Some want to stay at home and enjoy just home life, and others want to go out and do things, maybe just travel in this country. Others, we have clients that live all over the world now. So again, each person, that's where the holistic piece comes into play a little bit, but keeping it simple and talking with the client about what they want to do and helping them make those dreams and those desires happen is why this business is so successful, right? Because people ask me all the time, Mark, you're an age when you need to retire, because you're right, I'm almost 70 years old. But I also have a job that I truly love, because we can see the difference we're making in our clients' lives. This is so fulfilling in that regard to be a part of that. And this is just, again, something we need to figure out. We want our clients emotionally to be thriving and not stressing all the time about the money and where it's going to come from and how do I create it. Right. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
No, you're right. And you know, the finances are a means to an end, right?
Exactly.
The money should not be the main purpose. That's not the main goal. It's a means to an end to go feel fulfilled, to find satisfaction in your retirement, to have that emotional gratification as you move into the golden years. And all too often, that's what gets missed in a retirement plan, is what you actually want to do. Instead, it just gets boiled down to, well, we'll plug in some numbers into our planning software and here you've got a 98% chance of success. That's great, but what is it that you want to do with your time? Because we have seen time and time again people that get into retirement and are shocked when suddenly they don't have to wake up and punch a clock, and their social network has disappeared, their sense of identity has disappeared. And so the finances are supposed to be a means to an end. They should be serving that purpose instead of the other way around. And so I think that's such an important piece, and I'm so happy that we're talking about it today. And we talk about it often because, again, we feel that the financial world has done a disservice, and a lot of people don't have these discussions with their advisor, and we think that really they should be having them.
In fact, to go along with what you just said, I love Dr. Wade Pfau makes this point. He said there is a broader understanding that different retirement styles exist, and there isn't just one strategy that works best for everyone. Some will be comfortable with more investment-oriented approaches, while others will prefer to build more secure, reliable income sources. See, both of those can work, depending on you as an individual and what your goals and desires are. That's what we want our viewers to understand. We don't tell our clients what to do. We become partners. We build the plans with them and for them. Not because we think that's what they should do, right? We want to know exactly what they want to do. Then we're going to help them design that plan and use the tools that are going to best fit that, right? That's our goal. We don't want to tell somebody what to do, right? That's not what we're about.
Yeah, it should be collective, right? It absolutely should be collective. And you know what? I really appreciate that Bill Bangin, the creator of the 4% rule, right? So you take 4% out of your account, supposed to last you through retirement. The creator of that rule in this article essentially says it was never meant to be just take 4% out and sail off into the sunset, right? And it gets boiled down to that, right? People boil down, well, I'm going to take 4% out of my retirement account and I should be fine. That's, you know, that's what everybody thinks. Well, the problem with that is now Bill Bangin says you can take 4.7%, right? And you have other sources saying you can't even take 2% out of your retirement accounts because of longevity, volatility in the market, those kinds of things. So, you know, that being said, it is not a one-size-fits-all. There is not a plan that is one-size-fits-all. Instead, it's one-size-fits-none, and we think that that is really a big concern. Now, something that I want to share with the audience just briefly, we'll get back to talking about this in a second, is this book right here, Break the Glass. This is a book that Mark and I wrote together. You can visit breaktheglassbook.com. We'll be happy to share a copy and send that out to you. It really talks about creating income in your retirement, what to do when it comes to RMDs or Roth conversions, how to plan for taxes, what long-term care might look like, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all those concerns, the things that we need to find a way to fit those puzzle pieces together. So please take advantage of that. Again, breaktheglassbook.com. We'd love to share a copy with you. We're working on version 2 right now, so our audience will be able to have that updated copy. Again, you can scan the QR code there on the screen as well. So back to the income side of things, Mark. You know, this article makes some interesting points, but I'll go back to the idea that without having a strong income base, a retirement is set up to fail from the very beginning. And I think you would agree with that.
We agree with that 100%. I just, in what can affect that plan to make it fail, right? I love, it says, some of the biggest risks that every financial advisor should be sharing with that client is inflation, sequence risk. What is that? I'll explain. That's just the sequence of when we start to draw down from market assets, right? If the market is going down and we're pulling money out at the same time, it can be devastating just how quick our money can run out. So sequence risk is a big, but I think the big one is longevity risk. And that's exactly what Dr. Wade Pfau talks about in this article. He says, this is the risk multiplier, right? Think about what that is. If I live longer, do I have a higher chance of needing long-term care?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right? What about I live longer, could I suffer another bear market? You know, if they occur every 5 or 6 years, right? Which history shows that. But we've been on a bull run now that's almost tripled that without a significant downturn. That's why it's a little worrisome, the volatility that's happening right now. More
tax rate risk, right? You have a higher potential. The longer you live, the taxes are going to go up over that time frame, or housing prices, or, you know, there are all of these things, right? And that's it. That longevity piece is something that it isn't just about, well, if I have 5 more years or 10 more years in my lifetime, my money has to last longer. You might specifically deal with more issues, more of these risks in your retirement. And so the investment mix and how you create your income is even more important to make sure that you've planned the right way and that you have the security that you need.
Yeah, in fact, there's a great, we talk about this with clients all the time. Casey's mentioned this before, I have too. A lot of clients come into retirement and they're still in growth mode. They want to just continue to grow their assets, which is great. We have to deal with inflation. We all understand that, especially in our field. But I just love, because this article makes such a powerful point. It says, instead of growth, it says capital preservation should be the paramount concern of retirees. You can't go back to work at age 85 if you're running out of money, right? So if you took too much risk and the market didn't perform and you lost a big chunk at the wrong time, that can be devastating. So how many times do you hear in our office, we say all the time, if you didn't make another penny, you actually could live a great retirement, have a great life. They don't need to make any more money. So why not take some of that risk off of the table, right? And when you do that, it can free up the amount of money that maybe we can afford to risk and swing for the fence with that a little bit more, right? We all need to stay ahead of inflation. We get that. But if you have a downturn at the wrong time and you're using market-based assets to grow or to take income from, it could be a disaster. And we're just, on our watch in our office, we're not going to let our clients do that because we know what could happen. And why risk that when you've worked 30 or 40 years to build up that income stream?
Right. That's it. It isn't worth the risk, right?
It isn't.
And what it's really about is having the right type of plan. The right type of plan that gives you the confidence to go spend in retirement so you know what to expect and when to expect it. And that way you have different levers to pull based on what's going on, not only in the world, but also in your life at that moment. So please take advantage, 844-342-7142. You can come into the office, we'll sit down, we'll have a conversation with you. You can meet with myself, with Mark, with our team, and we will look at what retirement means to you and how to best make it happen based on your individual circumstance. It's completely complimentary. It's no obligation. You leave your checkbook at home. Who you see here on the TV show is exactly who you're going to get when you come into the office. 844-342-7142. Don't change the channel. Come right back to Elevate Your Wealth. We're going to talk more about things that impact your specific retirement.
Call 844-342-7142 for your own complimentary written financial plan with Risk Report. Why take unnecessary risk when you don't have to? At 65 years old, would you drive to the grocery store at 100 miles an hour if 40 miles an hour would get you there safely? When nearing retirement, are you still driving your investment accounts like you're in your 30s or 40s? Have you changed your investment elections since you first chose them in your retirement accounts at work? Call Casey, Mark, and the team at 844-342-7142 for your own investment risk report and written financial plan. Do you know exactly how much risk you're taking in your investment accounts? Now that you've accumulated a nest egg for retirement, you want to be certain the risk you're taking in those investments matches your goals and objectives. Call Mark, Casey, and their team at 844-342-7142 for your own complimentary risk report and written financial plan, or use the QR code below to begin scheduling your appointment. You may not have time to recover from taking too much risk.
Welcome back to Elevate Your Wealth. I'm your host, Casey Elkins. We're talking about retirement planning, as we always are, but more specifically today about creating income. And you know what? Mark said a bad word on our show earlier. He said annuity, which is a bad word in a lot of households and in a lot of circumstances. You know what? It's not a bad word in the financial world, right? It may be in some conversations, but Mark, you mentioned annuities earlier and about creating income. And I think we owe it to our audience to dig a little bit deeper about how annuities might fit into a retirement plan, but more specifically, creating income in a retirement plan.
And I'm glad we're talking about this because this is something, as Casey just mentioned, annuities kind of get put in muddy water. And I think once you clean up the water and take the dirt out of that water and really understand how powerful they can be such a great tool. And again, I want to emphasize that what we're about ready to talk about is coming from three guys that don't sell annuities. They just understand them. And again, these are three of the most powerful individuals in the world when it comes to retirement planning. And I love the first part of what they're talking about. He says, I think advisors are significantly underusing annuities, especially lifetime income annuities, when it comes to retirement planning. Said, considering annuities, especially those that offer protected, guaranteed lifetime income, notice this, it is an essential part of a retirement income plan. Now, they're saying that you should use annuities, right? It's not me saying that. It's not you saying that, right, Casey? Now, we happen to believe it, too.
Sure.
But this is coming from people that, you're right, I trust. And I think people that are getting ready to retire should trust because they know what they're talking about. It says you can't guarantee income for life from just a portfolio.
Yep. And there's nobody arguing that, right? No, nobody is saying that you can, right? But the point is a lot of people act like you can.
That's
right?
the point.
That's the issue.
That's the danger. They believe because they've been led down that path by the big Wall Street firms that don't worry about it. You know, if you invest right, your money's going to last and you won't ever run out. Well, these individuals are saying the complete opposite. That may not be the case. And that's kind of what we believe. guarantees matter in this space, right? And in retirement. And the interesting part about this is if you ask somebody if they would like more pension money or less pension money, what does everybody tell us?
Well, nobody's ever going to say they want less.
Yeah, it's
they
always
want
more.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
More, but that's an annuity, right? So again, you got to be careful about the noise out there and who's talking about negativity about annuities. Now, there is an annuity that we don't like very much, the variable annuity. It's got high fees, but the problem is the variable annuity, they're making it out like that's the only type of annuity. It couldn't be farther from the truth. I could have been using variable annuities for over 40 years now. I've not used it one time. I never will. But other annuities fit the bill perfectly in that regard. So again, we keep it simple. We are holistic in our approach, and we're going to help you set up an income stream that you can count on for the rest of your life and your spouse's life if you're married, right? So again, that matters, because what we don't want to see happen is a widow or a widower have a penalty when that first death occurs. And that's something else we don't have time to get into right now, but we want to make sure that that annuity payment continues on at the exact same amount that was happening when that first death occurs, so that there's no penalty.
Right. And you know what? It really comes back again to the idea that we discuss frequently, which is purpose-built, right? Purpose-driven.
Yep.
What is the specific idea, the need, the purpose behind this financial tool? And all too often we see people that have UFOs in their retirement plan, which is an unidentified financial object. They just have a junk drawer, like in their kitchen, full of these different investments that have some fancy marketing name. But what does it really mean? What does it mean in your circumstance? How is it supposed to better you? And that's what this all comes back to, is education and making sure that you have the right tool in the right application to give you the confidence when you think about your retirement. So that being said, this is your opportunity, 844-342-7142. We will sit down and build a custom-tailored written financial plan just for your specific situation. It's completely complimentary. It's no obligation. You leave your checkbook at home. Myself, Mark, the rest of our team would be happy to meet you and see you around the office. Please take advantage of this. 844-342-7142. We'll find a time that works for you, that works for us, give you a chance to meet us, ask some questions, just get a second opinion about what that retirement could look like and how to make it happen. Scan the QR code, take advantage of it, and tune in right here next week on Elevate Your Wealth.